Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lena, and today we are talking about what to do about receipts and how to manage them so they don't take up all your time. On this channel, I make videos simplifying money and home so that you can spend less time on household and money tasks and more time on things that bring you joy. So my way of dealing with receipts is not fancy or high tech, and I'm sure there is some accountant out there that will be crying as they watch how I actually deal with our receipts, but we do deal with our receipts and we do have them, and it does work, and we do not spend a lot of time managing our receipts or our budget. So every time we make a purchase, we make it a point to make sure and bring home that receipt. And then what happens? We need some places to store our receipts. My first strategy is using a magnet. So this is a strong fridge magnet. If you just have a weak fridge magnet, if you get behind on your receipts, this won't work. So after we come home from the store, we have our receipt. We are putting that receipt on the side of the fridge. And sometimes a pile grows up on the side of the fridge, and we know that those receipts have not been budgeted for. Right after you get home from the store, it's not often the best time to deal with the receipt right then, so we need a place to store them. And we do that on the side of our fridge with this magnet. My husband and I know where this spot is, and it is easy to get the receipts there, and we know that's where they live. So that's kind of our inbox for receipts. And the receipts live on the side of the fridge until we deal with them. And I'll talk more exactly how I deal with the receipts a little bit later, but I want to tell you about what we do after we're done with the receipt. My next high-tech solution is this bin. We call it the bin of doom. So this bin holds all of our receipts and paperwork that we have finished dealing with. It's really full right now because we are getting close to the end of the year, so it has a year's worth of bills, receipts, etc. So we only empty this bin about once a year. That's why it's so big. And we always know we could fit one more receipt in there, so we're never wondering where we're going to end up putting that receipt that we just dealt with. And yes, it's an unorganized mess, but we do know where that piece of paper that we have to find later is. Like if you need to make an unexpected return, I know that the receipt will be in this bin, even if I have to look for it for 5 minutes. But that means I didn't spend any time organizing any of my receipts, so that made it faster to do the budgeting. So we store our bin of doom right on top of our fridge. So our incoming receipts live on the side of the fridge and our outgoing receipts live on top of the fridge. So all the receipts are stored very close to each other. So maybe different locations in your house work even better than the side of the fridge and the top of the fridge for storing your receipts. So really adapt this to what actually works for your life. This is just what works for us. Okay, now you have places to store your receipts, but what do you actually do with a receipt? So when I am dealing with a receipt like Fred Meyer, I am marking the different budget categories that happened on that receipt. So I am marking that my husband bought something with his blow money. I'm marking that I bought something with my blow money. I'm marking that the laundry soap is going in the household budget. Of course, I use abbreviations and just letters if there aren't other things. And I'm assuming that the majority of my Fred Meyer trip was about food. So I'm not marking every single item like food, 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 food. I'm just marking the things that aren't food because I know everything else is food. So now my receipt is labeled. So now I'm inputting that into my budget. So if my husband spent $10 of his blow money, I am marking that in the budget. Then I'm putting the laundry soap in my household budget and saying we spent $10 on the laundry soap. And those vitamins go in the health category. So I put that in the budget. I have some videos about what my budget looks like and some free templates that you can print out if you want to get started on a budget. So if you want to do this with an actual budget, definitely go and check out the whole budgeting playlist. So I have categorized and inputted everything except for my food. Then I am taking my total and then I'm subtracting from that how much the vitamins cost and how much blow money from my husband it cost. And then I'm coming out with how much money we actually spent on food and putting that in the food category. And my Fred Meyer and Costco receipts definitely end up being the most complicated. So after I've put everything in its category, including the food, and I'm all done with that receipt, we have budgeted that receipt, I put a little check mark on the top, and that is our system saying, yes, I have accounted for that. And then I put it in the bin above the fridge. Not all of the receipts are that much effort. If it's just a gas receipt, I just write down the amount that we spent under the gas category in our budget. I put a check mark on it, I throw it above the fridge, the end. And maybe it would be simpler to manage the receipts if we made more trips or we made more orders while we were at the store. Like, okay, this is all blow money stuff and I have one receipt for that, and this is all health stuff and I have a different receipt for that. And maybe that would make the receipts easier, but it wouldn't make the store trip easier, so I don't do that, and I buy everything on one big receipt and then I mark it later. Sometimes there are things on the receipts that I don't know which category we're putting in or how we're supposed to be paying for that, and I put it on the whiteboard, which is on our fridge. Because if I'm doing the receipts during the day and my husband is at work and he doesn't want to be bothered every 5 minutes asking like, how are we paying for this? But I'm trying to finish the receipt, I can put minus $10 for picture frame on the whiteboard, and that's the only thing in question. So then we can talk about that one item when he gets home later, but I can still finish the receipt and put it in the bin with the check mark on it. If you're anything like me, doing receipts is not your all-time favorite activity, but I find that doing the receipts is much easier if I do them often. Of course, this is easier said than done. I often do these in the evening during cleanup time because it qualifies as one of those things I don't want to do. So doing the receipts is definitely easier if you can do it as close to the shopping trip as possible. But kind of like I was saying before, often after we get back from the store, it's late, we're hungry, and everybody's cranky. So I often don't end up doing the receipts right after our store trip or even the same day. But if it's been a week or two since you've done the receipts, it's going to be a little bit harder to remember, oh, we bought that household item. Sometimes the wording on the receipts are confusing, so then I can't remember what that was, I can't remember which category it was going to be in. So if I do the receipts the next day after the store run, it is much easier. And if your receipts are just piling up and out of control and you're like, I cannot deal with this, do an easy one first. Tell yourself, okay, you only need to do 2 receipts, and then find the 2 easiest ones and do them. For me, that normally ends up being gas receipt, because all I have to do is write it down in the gas category and put a check mark on it. And then if you can work yourself up to doing one more, or maybe you're doing 2 receipts this day and 2 receipts the next day, so that it's not all at once, you don't have to conquer it in a 2-hour receipt session. It's much more likely to get done. Let me know down in the comments, where do you keep your receipts? What are your strategies for dealing with your receipts? It really helps this video out when you hit that like button. And if you would like to see more content like this from me, please subscribe to my channel so that YouTube shows you all of my future uploads. Thank you so much for watching this video. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye for now.